I had this breakup 5 weeks ago, and we had been we'd been like talking through difficulties for about a month. So when it ended at the end of April, I was definitely really sad about it, but kind of at peace with it. And I have videos of myself talking about it both that day and then a few days later when I was still really anxious about it. It really, to me, felt like we broke up for no reason, because the stuff that she was saying that was unsettling to her was a combination of not true or minimally true to the point where it didn't even feel relevant, like our differences in alcohol consumption as one silly example, where she likes to drink slightly more than I do, and she was kind of making it into a bigger deal than certainly I thought it was. And things around what I want to do for my new career in content and coaching and focusing on dating, and how meta all of that is to be talking about with someone who you're dating. So these were all things that she liked initially, and I guess I need to remind myself of that, because she did like these things initially, and then when it started to, the stakes got higher, it became a little more uncomfortable for her. So we broke up at the end of April, and by like mid-May, the second week in May, I felt pretty much fine. Like, I would still think about her a couple of times a day, but I was getting over it for sure. And I had removed her and her friends from Instagram, or the one friend that I know, not blocked, but just made it so, the feeds at least didn't automatically show up in each other's pages. And then on Monday of last week, Brent and I recorded a podcast about breakups, which covered basically all of the breakups either of us have had in our lives. And I've been wanting to do this since before I met her. I knew when I went through what I went through last year that at some point I was going to do a podcast about it. And then when this happened, it was like, all right, let's just do all of it now. And this will be like a final piece of closure for me. Because to my knowledge, she would have hated the idea that I was using her essentially for content, which honestly, I think if we had stayed together, I probably never would have done, or at least I would have considered never doing it. But with her seemingly officially out of my life for good, it just made sense. Like, okay, now I can use this. Now I can reflect on it. And it was both therapy for me and also potentially helpful for other people, helpful to, grow a bigger following, because I think it's a level of vulnerability that is extremely lacking, to talk about your own ego on camera and all the things that you did wrong and not just what the other person did wrong, which is most of what this was. So we recorded the podcast on Monday, and then I was editing it on Wednesday because I recorded another podcast on Tuesday, so there was a bit of a delay. And then Thursday, I was still working on it, but Thursday night, it got to a couple hours before I was going to go out. It was like an hour or two before I was going to leave, and I was like, all right, this is a little depressing to be editing this podcast. Like, right before I'm going to go out, I want to be in a good social flow. I want to be in a good mood. So I'm going to just watch something else. I'm going to put it aside. I'll finish it. I'll post it tomorrow. And then I get to the bar, and I go into like the back room where is like the place where I usually start my night, and I spot her and her friend sitting there. And I think my immediate reaction was just surprise and shock, and I just couldn't really, I don't think there was like a positive or negative emotion associated with it. It was just, oh my God, this is a dead person that's here now. So I didn't know what to do. I went outside, I called Brett, we talked about what I should do in that situation, and my initial feeling was I should just go somewhere else. Like, this is not going to help to engage with this. And then talking through it, I realized this is just me being scared of conflict. So, or just scared of confronting problems, just conflict avoidant or whatever. So we talked about it, and I was like, yeah, I don't know what I'm gonna do, but give me like I'm gonna hang up, and then I'll take a couple minutes to kind of walk around, and then see what I decide. And I got off the phone, and immediately I was like, fuck it, like let's just face it, because she's here now. There's a chance she'll be here at some other point, and I don't want to have to think about what if. So I go back in, and I go back to the spot where I think she is, and I don't see them anymore. And I'm sitting there like kind of disappointed. I don't even know. It's hard to even remember the emotions. I was feeling so many things. And then I look over again, and they're still there. They just moved because they were looking for something. They were like their flashlights going on the floor. So I'm trying to figure out how to engage with this. So finally I just like, all right, I'm going to walk over. So she has her back to me, and then I spot her friend. I just make eye contact with her, and I'm like, do you guys need help? It like felt like it was out of a movie. And they all kind of freeze, and then she turns around, and it was such a relief to get like a normal response from her. Like, she didn't seem afraid that I was there or anything. It was like we were happy to see each other. So I'm kind of awkwardly standing there. There's a couple other friends I hadn't seen before, and we kind of say hi to each other. It's obviously awkward, and I'm like struggling to even talk about anything, because this is like, I had at this point probably 90% made peace with the fact that we would never cross paths ever again. So we're kind of talking, and she's trying to like ask me how I'm doing, and I'm just like incapable of, because I'm like, I don't want to talk about myself. Like, I don't want to reopen this, and I don't know how to. So eventually we start, like, I think she realized, like, if we're gonna stand there with each other, like, she's gonna have to open up first, because I just wasn't able to. So she started telling me all the stuff that's been going on with her, and the difficulties she's had in the last month with like issues with her friends, and it's, even now, it's like the amount of pain that I feel not having been able to be there for her during that, because like, this is one of the things I'm best at, and one of the things that I think defines a relationship is when someone has problems, you have someone there to help you with them. So I feel like, yeah, once we got there, it was like, all right, she's sort of asking me to comfort her now. I think she resisted going there, because maybe initially we both thought, yeah, we'll just stand here and talk for 10 minutes, and that'll be it, and this won't be such a big deal that we ran into each other, and hopefully it doesn't happen again. But we started going down this path of talking about more serious things, and then it's like, all right, I guess we're going to sit in the fucking booth because I can't help myself making connections and jokes like that. So it's like, let's just sit right where we met. And at a certain point, after talking through all this stuff, I just put my arm around her, and then kind of the rest is history, because I think she felt the way I was looking at her, and neither of us were going to be able to hold back at that point. So then we get into logically talking about, should we leave together? And I forget how she brought it up first, but I sort of like, she was like, wait, but maybe we shouldn't, like, this is obviously a bad idea. And I was like, at that point, I'm like, I don't think this is actually what happened, but I was like, I'll say whatever. I can so that this like I want this. And but I think she did too, so it didn't take much. And then so we ended up back here. And yeah, the entire time it was like, we're saying this is going to be it. Like, this is just one time. Maybe we'll be friends or something down the road. And I didn't even want to sleep after, because I'm like, I only have, and I said this to her, like, I only have a few hours left with you. Like, I'm not wasting them sleeping. And it was really sad. And we eventually said goodbye at like 10:30, 11 in the morning. And it felt like I intended to mean it. Like, this is it. Even though obviously I was a bit torn because I didn't want to break up in the first place. So I was like, I probably won't text her for a while, maybe a couple days. Like, I'll just let it sit. I don't know if I would have been able to adhere to that, but that was at least my goal. And so 3 hours later, I get a text from her, and she apologized for, trauma dumping. And then we just kind of went back to small talk for the rest of the day. And it was great. Like, it was how it was before when we didn't have any problems. And then towards like the end of the night, we were still texting, and I'm just like, I have to say it. It's like, how are we supposed to not see each other again? And her response was, I don't know, which to me felt like the middle ground response. Like, she wasn't saying we're just going to have to suck it up and deal with it, because this is clearly like we broke up for a reason. And she also didn't indicate that she was on the same page as me either. It was just, I don't know. So I felt very conflicted over that. And so I didn't respond for a while. I waited until 5 p.m. the next day. I tried not to. I was like, I'll just not say anything for a while. But she had her cousin's wedding, so I knew it would be hard for her to answer anyway. But I just said, yeah, it's... So I've been thinking it's going to be impossible not to. And I got no response from that. Not that I was expecting one right away, but because I knew this was like a wedding going on. But I thought I'd at least get an answer to that after the wedding. So I sent another text at midnight just talking about the experience of this podcast. And because I went back to editing it, and I'm listening to myself talk about how, yeah, we were incompatible because for one of the reasons, she didn't, and this is where I have to remember what I said at the beginning of this, because like, she told me in the bar before we left together that she 2 weeks ago like looked up my videos and loved them. And I have to remember it's the same as when we first started dating, and we weren't really, like, the stakes were lower, and it's easier for her to like and appreciate what I'm doing when it's not like, oh, are we about to meet each other's parents? And I think because we were broken up, it's much easier for her to appreciate and respect from a distance what I was doing, which is kind of similar to, the first month of us being together. But anyway, it confused me a lot. And so over the last 3 days, I've kind of been pushing, like, can we at least see each other in person so we can talk about all this stuff? And the responses I've gotten from her have been very, initially mixed and now bordering on cold. Certainly cold since last night. And as she's gotten colder, I've gotten needier, and it's just a cycle you never want to go down. So what I'm feeling now is some amount of like embarrassment that I've let myself get to this point, and also like still a bit of gratitude that I care about something so much, because, and I have this in the podcast, I used to worry that I was too robotic and didn't feel emotions as deeply as other people. And while I don't have that concern anymore, it's still nice to like experience it. Like in the multiple times that I've cried over this weekend, I've like part of me while it's happening. Like, it's felt very cathartic, and not even just like in the sense of suppressing something and getting it out, also just in the sense of, oh yeah, I am capable of this. And I don't know why I still need reminders of that, but I have felt like mildly happy every time I've gotten really sad. So where we're at now is, I feel like my neediness over the last day has made it worse for her. And honestly, I wish she could just see this so that I don't think it actually would help, but for some reason I always have this thought that if I could just broadcast my full thoughts and then be like, here's me, it would be like all of the worries that I think are untrue would dissolve. But maybe it would just validate all of the worries. I don't know. This is just kind of like, I've always had this bias. It's like, if you could just get the full picture of the thoughts in my head, then you would be at ease for some reason. Because I guess people are dealing with imperfect information about other people, so my sense is the more of my inner dialogue that she could witness, the more she would understand, like, okay, this is a person who's just really trying. But I'm not sure if that matters. So, even saying this now, I'm like, should I just send her the video? Probably not. So yeah, I feel like this is about to end again in the next day or two, and I really hope it doesn't. But certainly all the signs are there for that, because I've gotten essentially no indication from her that Thursday night was anything more than a one-time thing that I think meant a lot to her. I'm not saying that. But nonetheless, yeah.